Hi everyone, my name is Miss Hannah. I'm from the Bala Library, and today we are going to do two fun experiments with water. So for these experiments, they're both pretty simple, so you can follow along and do them with me at home, and I try to pick ones that have lots of items that you should probably already have somewhere at home. Or if you want, you can just follow along with me and watch as I do them, and we can do some science together. So for the first experiment, what you're going to need is a jar, a glass, or a vase. And I'm going to use this one. It's not too big. I think this one will let you see the experiment the best. Just one thing you want to keep in mind when you're picking your jar is to make sure that the opening isn't too big. So this one is almost a little bit too big. It's kind of wide, but I think this one will be okay so that you can kind of see the best what I'm doing down through this part. You're also going to need some water, and I have mine in a measuring cup, but for this one you don't need it to be in anything specific. Just some water in either a glass, a cup, or a measuring cup might work the best. You're also going to need some shaving cream, an eyedropper, and some food coloring. Blue might be the best for this. I only have green, but any color that you like will work great. So let's get started. For our first experiment, we are going to try to make a rain cloud and make it rain inside of this vase. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take your water, and you're going to want to pour the water into your glass, your jar, your vase, whatever you're using, and you're going to want to pour it to about an inch from the top. So I'm going to pour mine into about right here. And sorry, the lighting is kind of weird in here, so hopefully you can see to about right here. So pour water. Just like that. Next, we're going to take our shaving cream and we're going to shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. And we're going to put a dollop of shaving cream at the top of the glass. So hopefully, sometimes it doesn't stick. When I was trying to do it before this, it didn't always stick. So if you have to do it a couple times, that's okay. So we'll put some shaving cream at the top. Just like that. Now, mine is kind of thick, so it's easier if you make it thinner. It'll go quicker, but mine will make a nice, big, thick cloud. So now we have our cloud up here, that's the shaving cream, and our water down here, and the water we're about to add is going to be our atmosphere. So next, to show the rain, we're going to take our food coloring, any color you'd like. Blue works the best because that's kind of what we think of when we think of rain, but I have green. And you're going to want to put 3 or 4 drops of food coloring on top of the cloud. And if you get a little more or a little less, that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. So you can kind of see my food coloring like that. Then you're going to take your dropper and your water. Make sure you still have some water left over. If you need to go get some more water, you can pause and run and do that so you have enough for your dropper. You're going to fill up your dropper, so you squeeze this side, put it into the water, and let go, and it should fill with water. Now we're going to drop water on top of our cloud, and we're going to wait and see how long it takes for it to start raining. And the way you'll know if it's raining is when you start to see the green or whatever color you use come down through the cloud and rain into the bottom of the jar. So here is our water. Count with me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you can kind of spread it out based on where your food coloring went. And like I said at the beginning, if you kind of have a big thick cloud like I do, it might take a little longer, but see, it's starting to rain a little bit in there. It took about 10 drops for the rain to get there. 11, 12, 13. Oh, here's some rain. And it's starting to rain in my cloud. I'm going to add a couple more drops of food coloring just so you can see it a little bit better. And another way to do this is just add the food coloring directly to the cloud and without adding water. You just wait for the food coloring to work its way down, and there you see it's going down and it's now raining inside of my vase. So hopefully if you're following along, you're starting to get some rain in your vase too. That is our rain cloud experiment, and it starts to rain just like that. As you can see, it has really started to pour down through my cloud. All the water down at the bottom is green, and there's still some leaking down through our cloud right in here. So in this experiment, the shaving cream up here represents the clouds that you see in the sky, and the water represents the atmosphere or the air. So the colored water then, everything that ended up down here, represents the rain. As the colored water comes down through the cloud, so it saturates the cloud, which means it gets all in the cloud and starts to make the cloud very heavy. It gets super heavy, and eventually the cloud, just like the clouds in the sky, gets so heavy that it can no longer hold all of that green water or rain inside of it, so it starts to rain down into the jar through the air. And this down here, remember, is our air, our atmosphere. So just like in the clouds outside, the rain, it's super heavy inside the cloud can't hold it all any longer, and so it starts to fall down through, and it comes out of the cloud in a rainstorm. Hopefully your cloud started to rain. If it didn't, maybe try a slightly thinner layer of cloud. Maybe your cloud was a little bit too thick. So try thinner, add some more food coloring, add some more water, and make sure you count how many drops it takes to fill up your cloud. Mine took about 10 drops before we started to see our first rainfall, and it was really about 15 to 20 before we started to get a good rainstorm going. So let me know how many drops it takes. You can also try some other liquids. You could try some corn syrup, see how that goes, some orange juice, some Kool-Aid, anything that you want to try, maybe some thicker liquids, anything that you think might fall, and see how long it takes to create a rain cloud in your jar. For our second experiment, you're going to need a couple more items. So the first one that you'll need is dry erase marker. If you have multiple colors, that's great. I just have black, but it is very important that it is a dry erase marker. It can't be a Sharpie or any other permanent marker. It can't be a Crayola marker, something that you draw with. It has to be a dry erase marker, both for the experiment to work and for your parents to not be mad at you if you use a Sharpie on their plates. Which brings me to our second item that you're going to need is a plate. And a ceramic plate is going to probably work the best, but since we're doing an experiment, you can try with different materials. I'm also going to try this styrofoam plate and this bowl. And the last thing you're going to need, super simple, the third item is water. And for this one, you probably are going to want to have it in a measuring cup because it'll be easiest to pour from the spout. We have to pour the water slowly, but if you have anything that has a spout, or if you just have a steady hand and can pour it from the glass, that'll work great. Let's start with our second experiment, which is going to make some pictures float. Okay, so we're all set up for our second experiment, and let's see if we can try to get some of these pictures to float. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that this experiment has easier ingredients to use. It's just the marker, a plate, and water. But this one is a little bit harder to get to work. I know I've tried it a couple times before making this video, and sometimes it works perfectly, and sometimes it just doesn't work at all. So it's important to remember that we are just experimenting, and if it goes well, that's great, and if not, that's okay too. So, to get started, you want to take your marker, and again, please make sure it is a dry erase marker. Take your marker, and you're going to draw on the plate. You can draw whatever you want, as many shapes as you like. I'm going to try, how about maybe a heart, and I'll fill it in. Not very good at drawing hearts, but that's okay. Heart. If we can do a stick person. How about a circle? And I'm going to fill this circle in too. How about a triangle? You can draw anything you like. It doesn't have to be shapes, but I think it's usually easier if it's something that you can fill in, like my shapes that I'm drawing here. Do a square. And how about a star? Just like that. So we have 6 shapes on our plate. And to make them float, we're going to take our water, and for my experiment, I'm going to use just regular room temperature water. It came directly out of the sink, about room temperature. I let it sit for a little while, and I'm going to try it with this water. You can also try doing it with hot water, or you can try it with cold water, or you can also use room temperature water. So let's see if it works. So what you're going to want to do is I'm going to hold the plate up so I can get it closer to the spout. You're going to want to slowly pour the water onto the plate. And this is where the trouble starts, because I'm not very good at pouring slowly. And make sure you don't overflow your plate, but if you do, that's okay. Oh, we have one. So you can see our triangle here is floating. See the triangle floating? I'm trying to move it around. You can see it kind of moving. It looks like none of our other shapes wanted to move, just our triangle. So maybe my water was a little bit too cold. I felt it's a little on the colder side. But as you can see, our triangle is floating up from the plate, and it's moving all around the plate. So I was just about to say that none of the other ones worked when I wiggled the plate a little. Sometimes if you give it just a little bit of a shake, you can shake them loose, and now you can see that all of my shapes are now floating. Now, I know our stick man got a little bit disfigured. That's okay. It usually works a little bit better if you just make shapes and fill them in. But as you can see, they get a little bit messed up. They're not quite as nice as when we first drew them, but we've got our circle floating, our stars here, our heart, of course our triangle, and our square. And what's left of our little stick figure guy are all floating on top of the water. You can see him kind of moving. So let's try with the styrofoam plate. Do we think that the styrofoam plate will work? Let me move this out of the way. Let's try a triangle since that worked the best last time. Triangle. Let's do another heart. That looked more like a circle. And a circle. Let's try on our styrofoam and see if this works. Again, we're going to take our water and we're going to pour really slowly onto the plate. Till it's covering. Oops. So now the shapes are covered. These ones don't look like they want to move. Let's see if I can wiggle the plate a little like I did with the other one. It looks like the styrofoam may not work because they're all still sitting on the bottom. So far, our ceramic plate is working the best. let's try our bowl. We'll draw the same three. We'll do a triangle. A heart. And these don't have to be perfect because, as you saw with the first one, when you pick them up with the water, they'll get a little bit misshapen. So let's see if the bowl will work. I think the bowl might work easier for pouring because we won't spill it. I know I spilled my first plate everywhere. So it might be better with the edges, but I'm not sure if this material is going to work as well as the plate. So let's see. Pour water slowly. See if we can give it a little wiggle like I did with the plate. Maybe try pouring it directly on the shape. Oh, that didn't work. Looks like it wants to stay pretty stuck. It's like the pieces are floating, but they didn't really stay in their shape. So I think definitely the one that worked best for my experiment was the ceramic plate. As you can see, they're still going, still floating. It's like we got some pieces that are floating in our bowl and our styrofoam plate. They never lifted off the plate. So for me, the ceramic plate and the room temperature water work the best, but you'll have to let me know which one works best for you, which type of plate, if you used hot water, cold water, room temperature water, let me know which one worked the best. So the reason that this experiment works is because of the ink in the dry erase marker. So the dry erase marker ink, unlike in a regular marker or in a pen, it's insoluble. So that means that it won't dissolve. So that's why we can pour the water in and it doesn't come apart or it doesn't wash away. So it stays together. It won't dissolve when you add water to it. Also, the other reason that it works is because the ink in the dry erase marker is less dense than the water. So what that means is it's lighter than the water. That's why they can float up on top of the water. Thank you so much for joining me for today's water experiments, and please just always keep in mind that we are doing science experiments, so they're not always going to go completely well the first time, the second time, maybe even the third time. Sometimes they just don't work, but that's the fun of it. We get to have fun, hopefully make some pictures float, hopefully make some clouds rain, but if it didn't happen, just keep trying. So thank you again so much for joining me, and I hope that I will see you guys soon in another video or hopefully at the library again soon. Thank you. Bye.